G'day, Starlo here. Across this past trout season, I've been lucky enough to extensively field test and evaluate one of the new G.Loomis Asquith rods, part of the largely expanded G.Loomis range now becoming available in Australia. I've got the 9-foot 5-weight here, and it's a really impressive rod. I've got a feeling that this 5-weight might just become the biggest seller in the Asquith range in Australia. 5-weights are incredibly popular these days, and in many ways 5-weights are the new 6-weights. Before I tell you a bit more about the specifications and characteristics of this exceptional fly rod, let's take it for a fish and have a look at its real-world performance. I'm casting dry flies on a stretch of the upper Murrumbidgee River above Tantangra Dam in the New South Wales Snowy Mountains region. This is a lovely stretch of water, mostly populated by small to middling brown and rainbow trout. While I might normally look at this as 3 or 4 weight water, today's blustery breeze and the fact that the river's up and coloured a bit after rain means that I'm more than happy to use the 5 on it. Nice bit of water. Just pays to cast short first, work your way out. You don't want to be putting the line over a fish that might be sitting quite close in. So just work your way out towards the better water. Don't cast straight into the prime spot. You don't want to be putting fly line over them. Just put leader over where the fish might be. And then slowly just feel my way out. I'm running a double taper 6-weight floating line, as I quite like to slightly overline most of my fly rods. It works for me. There's one. Oh, missed him. That wasn't a bad fish either. Hard to know whether I struck too fast or not fast enough. It's in that quick water you can usually hit him pretty quick. He won't come back. But there could be others. Notice how little effort's required to cast a reasonable length of line with the Asquith, mostly just a pick up and lay down. And the line's nice and straight too. I'm constantly pulling more fly line off the reel to lengthen my casts, covering a little more water with each drift, and the effort required is minimal. Oh, good fish, really nice fish. Saw him coming up for it. Alright, I'll get this guy back on the reel, I think. He looked like a pretty good fish when he came up. Oh yeah, he's a lovely brownie. I mean, this is not really big fish water, so you get one of these better fish, it always seems like a monster. Oh, it's a gorgeous fish. Might have to use the net on this guy. Got to find a spot where I can get down to him. Look at him there in the water. What a beautiful fish. He's got some weight. Grab my net. There he is. Handsome 1.5, 1 3/4 pound wild brown. Be a beautiful one to keep and eat. Let's have a look. I think I'll let him go though. He's just too perfect. Turn them upside down, sometimes it makes them sit a bit more quietly. Just got it there in the scissor of the jaw. There we go, it comes out fairly easily. Oh, he's ready to go. Oh, beautiful! Woo! I was pretty stoked with that little wild brownie from the upper Murrumbidgee, and as I continued working my way upstream, I caught a bunch more fish that day on this lovely stretch of river. Got him. Nothing huge, but all very satisfying, especially on the dry fly and in reasonably tricky conditions with bright sun and a fickle, gusty breeze. None of these fish were much of a challenge for the Asquith 5-weight, and in some ways I felt a tad overgunned. But on the other hand, there were plenty of spots over on the far side of the stream that I wouldn't have been able to get a fly to without the punch and reach of this deceptively powerful 5-weight rod. Got him. It just kept producing fish. Reasonable fish. They love that fast, ripply water. That's where they're hanging, not in the quieter stuff, that's for sure. I think deceptively powerful is a pretty apt description for this rod. Weighing in at just 2.8 ounces or under 80 grams, it's so light in the hand, but even more critical is the fact that that spiral X blank is so thin in diameter. That means there's much less swing weight and wind resistance than I'm used to with a typical 5 or 6 weight rod. This actually takes a little bit of getting your head around, as there's a natural tendency, well for me anyway, to swing too fast when there's so little resistance in your hand. It took me a session or two to get into the cadence and timing of this stick, but once I did, wow. A little bit more line out, starting to reach out to a reasonably long cast now. And this rod just handles it so well. I'm certainly nothing special as a fly caster, but I found myself presenting flies quickly and easily at much longer distances than I'd normally expect to achieve, especially with so little false casting. A little bit of breeze, and I'm probably getting close to the maximum that I really want to cast, especially with the bushes behind me. And from a rod that still offers delicate presentations in close. And remember, this was a double taper line. It'd be even easier to shoot line with a weight forward. One more, we'll go up the centre. I'd reckon I was achieving casts of about 70 feet or more at this stage, despite that breeze. That's pretty good in my book. Don't get the idea that the Asquith 5-weight is only a small fish, small water rod either. During my time with this stick, I caught some much bigger trout on it, in both streams and still waters. And it'd also be spot on for brim, bass, estuary perch, flatties, luderick, and even smaller pelagics in the salt. Like I said, 5-weights are the new 6-weights, especially when they're as potent as the G.Loomis Asquith. Knowing that there's a full year's warranty and replacement tips available is also pretty reassuring. Sure, it's an expensive piece of kit, but it's also a very attractive package, both cosmetically and in terms of performance, in the park or out on the water. I've got to give this rod back now because my loan period has come to an end and I am really going to miss it. I'm going to miss that ability to punch out a long length of line even in windy conditions when you need to, but also being able to fish with a delicate presentation at short range. It is a brilliant rod. Guess I'm just going to have to save up my dollars and buy one. Until next time, this is Starlo wishing you tight lines.